You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. Thank you for joining us for another amazing conversation here in the African Father in America podcast. We are live streaming on YouTube and we are also live streaming on Clubhouse. And today I have a really special guest. I'm joined here by my wonderful brother, William Jackson, who is an amazing educator. William, say hi to everyone who is joining us this morning, please.
Hello, greetings to everyone, and we are so happy you're here. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm also happy that we finally get to do this together. It's been a while since we learned about each other around Africa Day last year,
Right.
and I feel that it's high time we started this new year at this note of just re-engaging and reconnecting and doing great things together. So if you are meeting Brother William Jackson for the first time, he's an educator, he's a virtual reality certified educator, but he's also an advocate for STEAM education, and we will learn a lot more about how he got here. But for us to get started, we are going to begin with a Cameroonian proverb. Remember, every episode of the African Father in America podcast is grounded on African wisdom. And so our proverb today says that a father can feed 7 children, but 7 children cannot feed a father. So I have 3 nuggets of wisdom around this proverb that I'm going to share with you all just quickly here, and then we are going to continue on with the show where we will go deeper into the work and the story of our brother and our special guest today. So the first nugget of wisdom says that the power of working together with family and community is essential for creating sustainable solutions and for providing for those who are in need. Second is that invest in family and community. This is important because when we invest in each other, there's really nothing that can stop us. That's how we build prosperous families and prosperous communities. And you find that people who intentionally invest in each other have generations and generations of prosperity in their lineage. That's what this proverb is teaching us about. And then finally, this proverb is teaching us that we should support each other during hard times. Coming together during hard times shows people you care and also helps promote overall well-being for generations. So remember, in January of 2023, this whole month we will be talking about proverbs that are related to the kind of wisdom that we need to support our children. They are all proverbs around children and how we can better support them, especially as we are beginning the year. So I want to bring your attention to my really special guest, William Jackson. William, I want you to take a moment and just introduce yourself a little further. I already mentioned that you are a virtual reality certified educator. You're also a STEAM educator and advocate for STEAM education. But I feel that, there's a little more to it. And I want to give you space to quickly introduce yourself and then also talk about this proverb from Cameroon that says that one father can feed 7 children, but 7 children cannot feed one father. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And as you said, we have been talking a little bit, since last year, and that event, Africa Day, was so phenomenal. My wife, Aida, and I, we were so blessed to be able to participate, and we made the commitment to do what we can as educators and even as parents, to help facilitate, as you said, support individuals like yourself and other groups that we work with that are supporting things that are going on in Africa. I'm an educator of 33 years. I recently retired in August, and STEM and STEAM are profound ways of providing hands-on project-based learning for students. And a friend of ours, Dorothy in South Africa, she mentioned, we work with her every once in a while, that we have to stop doing what's called chalk and talk. You can't talk about or lecture the students using a chalkboard. It has to be engaging, it has to be enriching, it has to be hands-on learning. And my wife and I, we are real proponents to that as well. So as we are developing our content, developing our curriculum, we make sure that we take those elements, science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and now the metaverse, and create dynamic lessons that we can have in person or either virtual. And using the technology allows us to expand our passion for helping. Actually, we're teaching 3 areas in Africa, in Nigeria, with a group called Clever Minds Academy, and that's in Warri, Nigeria, and also in Kenya. Outside of Nairobi, there's a group called Sunflower Trust that we've been working with, and again, a school in South Africa. So our commitment is strong. We have a passion. Interesting enough, my wife recently did a DNA background, and her family lineage goes back to Nigeria. And I'm going to do one as well to see how more we can be, connected and follow our history of our families. So it's such a blessing that, using this different type of technology, we're able to make those connections.
It's amazing what technology can do if it's put into good use, And I just have a lot of, appreciation for you and your wife for being educators, and especially, STEAM educators and virtual environment educators, an area where I feel that we need more of our people, whether it's in the diaspora or Africa, to be much more engaged in. So I thank you for being a pioneer, really. But I want to welcome everyone who is watching on YouTube, and I want to invite you to make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and also comment on this video. Those are actions that you can take quickly, but they really go a long way in building this platform as a formidable force where it's safe, and we continue nurturing ancestral wisdom through this work that we are doing. I want to, ask you, William, to speak a little bit about a childhood story that inspires who you are today. This is a question I ask all my guests here in the African Father in America podcast, because, we didn't just show up here, but there are things that happened in our childhood that really inspire who we are today. And if you listen to previous episodes of the podcast, this is episode 319, so there are a lot of episodes that you can listen to. And a lot of them in many of them I talk about my own story of when I was 8 years old, and how around that time my mother gave me a bicycle to distribute milk and bread in our community back in Kenya, and how that was really the beginning of my understanding of what impact I could have in our community. And so I want to, invite you to also speak about something that really drives who you are today, that, came about when you were still young.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm definitely young at heart. My wife could tell you that. It's like just, being engaged and active in the community. And it leads back to, and interesting enough, when you talked about your mother, the same with me. My mom was a high school teacher, and she taught business. And when she was teaching, and I call it back in the day, during the 70s and 80s, she was teaching what was called shorthand. And basically, she taught in the business department, and shorthand back during that time was one of the ways that young people can get into careers right after high school. So shorthand in of itself was a way of writing code, and shorthand allowed you to write dictation as someone was doing a presentation, or used in a courtroom or an illegal environment. So during that process, those would take shorthand, and then they would go back and type the information on legal documents. But interesting enough, I watched my mom go from the transition of starting teaching shorthand to using manual computers to manual typewriters to electric typewriters and eventually to computers. And what stands out in my mind was during that process, she was teaching myself and my brother and my sister, this is the evolution of the world technology. This is how the world is going to change. And it's really important that we understand that process. And she would put myself and my brother and my sister to work by setting up her classroom over the summer as there were transitions going on from just shorthand to manual typewriters to electric typewriters to computers. And being children at that time, we did not realize that she was preparing us for the world to come, the world of technology. But she saw it right then and right there as, okay, well, we're not doing things with pencil and paper anymore. We're moving to manually using typewriters. Then we're making that transition from manually typewriters to electric typewriters. So here you have these components of different types of technology, and then eventually moving to computers, the IBM computers in the classroom. So as she was learning, she was teaching us as well. And she also had the expectation that we, as we learned, would teach her as well. And interesting enough, now being a STEAM teacher in public education, higher education, you look back on the things that your parents try to teach you, and you see that they are constantly preparing you for the future. And, as kids, sometimes you don't listen, but then you think, well, they do have more experience. They've been in this world longer than we have as parents. So it's incumbent upon ourselves to really listen and pay attention. So, I praise God for her and her wisdom and, her knowledge as she was teaching us and preparing us for now, because she set that wonderful foundation.
That's incredible. That's incredible. We only remember the value of our parents, our mothers, especially when we really don't have the opportunity to embrace them and hug them and make them feel that they've accomplished something. And that's one of the things I wish I learned earlier, of all this great knowledge and wisdom and opportunity that my mother was imparting in me, and the positioning that she was doing her best in order for me to even survive.
Right.
So I really appreciate your perspectives and your comments and this beautiful story that you've shared with us. I want to thank everyone who is joining us on YouTube. I see Latina, Phoenix, and a number of other people comment, so that we know that you are here with us right now. And if you're watching this video later on, also comment so that we know that you visited and enjoyed the show today. And to everyone who is on Clubhouse, make sure you're sharing the room, and you're also commenting so that we know that you are here with us right now. I'm hosting my brother William Jackson, who is an educator, and I want you, William, to talk about virtual reality a little bit, because virtual reality is not the most common way of educating people globally, really, but it's the future, And I feel that this is an area where you are a certified educator, and you should just talk to us about your journey also of being a STEAM educator. What are some of the work you've done in the course of your career that really makes you proud, that when you look back you really want to share with us today?
Right. Well, I'm teaching over the years, and most of the time had been in elementary school. And I love the way you say, when you look back, and hindsight is 2020. The phrase is, because if you really realize what's going on as you go through this process, you would become more appreciative. And all the years of elementary school, I'm an original health and physical education teacher. Let me say that I started teaching off PE at an elementary school. And one of the reasons I got into technology on a school base was attending South Carolina State University because I'm a proud HBCU educator. Seeing at that time in the 80s, there wasn't that much technology going on at all. And unless you were like maybe engineering or something like that, there was some programming. And I was looking for opportunities to continue to learn what my mom had passed down and taught us, but I wanted to work in an environment where it was outside. I was also an athlete, so I ran track. So I was like, okay, trying to decide what career did I want. I said, well, I love being outside. I don't want to be in the classroom. I'll teach PE. But I took it in a different way. It wasn't just about sports. It was about preparing young people mentally for the challenges that they face or will face using sports. So getting them to build their self-esteem, getting them to learn their positive traits and abilities about themselves, supporting them and helping them mentally, and understanding their bodies physically about eating healthy, drinking water. So all of those aspects. But during the course of one of the years, I was trying to think of a way to really excite my students to continue to keep them learning. And I went into one of the libraries at the elementary school I was at the time, and the media specialist or librarian was saying, well, why don't you create certificates for your students to give it to them? And I had never thought about it. I said, you can create certificates on the computer and do that. So she sat me down at an old Apple IIe and showed me with this program how to make certificates. And it was just like, okay, so this is another element that I can use to inspire my students. And I wanted to learn more. And I started taking workshops, going to classes on my own, taking workshops over the summer. At that time, the internet was slowly exploding. And I said, I wanted to learn as much as possible, but not only learn it myself, but teach other teachers. So I was blessed to, do some wonderful things, attend conferences, attend workshops. And then I was asked to start teaching. So we're talking about, a small city in Florida, Palaca. And here I'm a Black male teacher. And the idea was, okay, that's all he's going to do is PE. But in my mind, this is something I can move beyond just teaching physical education. I still loved it, but I like to say I got bit by the technology bug, and had the chance to do workshops, work with conferences, speak more and more. So I made that transition from teaching physical education into teaching technology. And a lot of people, used to ask me, well, why don't you go into coaching? And in my mind, the Lord didn't have my direction as far as coaching sports, but being a technology coach, as far as being a teacher of technology and helping people learn and understand how to implement and use those tools. And it's been a wonderful journey. I've been to several middle schools, mostly elementary. I've taught in higher education here in Florida, teaching teachers how to use technology. I've been blessed to actually work with NASA as well at a local college, Edward Waters College, which is now a university, teaching technology with NASA to teachers. So learning and guiding and having that mindset of this is our community, and it's incumbent upon us, those that have the knowledge, like yourself, what you're doing with this program, to teach others and pay it forward. And I've been blessed having my wife who has the same passion, and she's on Latina Phoenix to share this journey with us as well. And we speak at WordCamp conferences nationally and globally. And as I was saying before, our passion is to teach more and more on the continent of Africa and Central America and other places that need this blessing of knowledge, because this is where the world is moving to. And interesting enough, it relates to the proverb too, because fathers and men, we are accountable and responsible to teach, not just to teach our physical children or our each generation, but the children around us. So whether you have 7 children or 70 children or 700, we are held accountable and responsible to teach and share our knowledge and to be mentors to those children around us. And sometimes it is challenging, facing maybe the lack of resources, but God has blessed us with talents and skills and abilities that we can, provide effective and positive change. But also, we have to remember that fathers and men, we network and work together to build our community. So not only are we the protectors of our communities, but we are the mentors. We also are the nurturers. We are the creative mindset as well. Interesting enough, we as men like to have fun with our kids. So even through games and sports and activities, we teach them how to have fun. We teach them how to collaborate. We teach them how to work together. We do it a little bit different than moms, but it's still effective, and we have a good time doing it. And technology in virtual reality is just one of those areas that's expanding and exploding. As you mentioned, we're certified VR teachers with Victory XR using the Engage platform. And that is exploding now because those curriculums are so immersive and dynamic that you go in as an avatar and you have your environment and you are able to use graphics and music and sounds to make the learning more enriching. And it's almost describing it as being a storyteller in an environment that it's 360 degrees of an immersive environment where you can share dynamic stories as a teaching tool to get students' attention, but have them engaged and have them doing things virtually as avatars. And I have to admit, in the beginning, I was kind of sort of, interested in it as a STEAM teacher, but teaching that science and that technology, that engineering, arts, and math was a basis and a foundation for a while. And my wife was telling me about, have you heard of these environments in the metaverse? Have you heard of these environments in Infiniverse and all of these immersive spaces? And we learned a lot about it, as you were saying, on Clubhouse. So we were on multiple Clubhouse rooms talking about tech and learning about tech, learning about the metaverse and how we can apply it to teach young people, but not only to teach young people, but teach adults as well, because their careers are moving to these spaces and these places that are on different environments on the metaverse. And it's just great to be able to communicate. And sometimes it's called Zoom on steroids, because you are yourself, but you are an immersive avatar that can walk and talk and meet. And there's just so many opportunities now to learn and teach and be engaged in those lessons. And I thank my wife. I always, joke with her. I used to say, I don't need to do this. I'm already doing too much. I'm already doing a lot now. But she was like, come on, honey, you can do this. It'll be fun. Get involved and get engaged. And once I really got involved and hooked, we are so blessed to be able to have classes online and work with so many people. So now we have what's called have Oculus Will Travel. So we have several Oculus. And here in Florida, we travel and we teach at schools how to use the Oculus, the immersive environments, the careers that are being developed and guided by virtual reality. And not to put down any companies, but when Facebook merged to Meta, yes, that is one component of the metaverse, but there are hundreds of metaverses. And Africa is one of the fastest growing continents, and the nations in Africa are growing rapidly to provide immersive learning experiences and environments on the metaverse, because it's able to connect across boundaries and borders across the continent. And Africans are more and more able to collaborate and communicate with each other to build businesses, to be entrepreneurs, to expand, their educational opportunities. And it's just it's a wonderful blessing to be able to be a part of that and have these conversations and share our knowledge and skills.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wanted to ask you how your experience collaborating with other educators and teaching our brothers and sisters back in Africa from the diaspora, and you just answered my next question. So I'll connect with you after the show and just learn a little more in depth about some of the work that you continue doing in the continent. For now,
Yes.
I want to bring on, Stella and Brother Earth, who are on the stage on Clubhouse, to contribute their voices to our conversation. Before that, I just quickly want to give a shout out to Dr. Wiles, who is joining us. Thank you for being here. And I see Fred, I see Lavender and Nene and Rocky and Kay and Lara. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for being here. Make sure you share the Clubhouse room. And also, if you go to the top of the Clubhouse room, you will see the link to the YouTube live stream. We are live right now with William Jackson, and you can join us there. Thank you again, Brother Earth and Latina Phoenix, for being there with us. I'm just so grateful. I want to come to you, Stella, just briefly. Share with us where you're joining us from in this moment, what today's proverb means to you, and if you have any comment to my guest, this is a good time to share it. The proverb is from Cameroon, and it says that one father can feed 7 children, but 7 children cannot feed one father. Thank you so much.
Hi, Simon. Hello, everyone. This is
Hello.
Stella from Kenya, and I'm glad that I'm here today. This proverb from Cameroon is an interesting one because I think to me it has just that literal meaning, because literally our parents can take care of all of us, like they put us under their wings, just the same way chicken take care of their chicks. They safely keep them under their wings. But all the chicks cannot keep their mom in their the mother hen under their wings. So it's true, and I think it's also it's also part of nature, and it's natural. But then again, the proverb goes ahead to remind us that when we come together, then great things
Right.
can happen. So I love it so much, and it has a very deep meaning. And I also want to thank our guest today, Jackson, for joining us and sharing with
Thank you.
us his story that is so inspiring and beautiful. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Stella, for your continued support. And as you were speaking, I was reminded of teachers, really, because similar to what this proverb says about fathers and the number of people that fathers or parents in general can take care of, teachers take care of hundreds of children every day. And it's always similar to the analogy of the mother, the mother hen, and how she takes care of her little chicks and covers them with their wings. Teachers also do that on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes, a lot of the time, I'm amazed by how, I only have 3 daughters, but teachers have, in one class, one of my daughters goes to a class of like 40 something students. In Kenya, I used to see teachers who have like 120 students, and they know them by name, their birthdays, and their moods and everything. So it's just incredible. So a big shout out to all the teachers out there. Now, Brother Earth, share with us also where you're joining us from, what today's proverb means to you, and any comments to Mr. Jackson, who is our guest today. Thank you.
Gratitude, peace and love, family. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
And it's always a good way to start my day with the uplifting stories and the positive energy here. And as far as from the conversation, 2 things that stood out from the conversation to me is how he made the point of how important evolution is.
Mm-hmm.
He went through all the phases from the manual typewriter to the electric to the computer. He was willing to adapt. And oftentimes we resist change, but he was able to embrace change and not, be labeled just a teacher. I mean, a
Right.
PE teacher, but he was ready to expand into technology.
Right.
Always embracing something new, and that's very powerful and inspiring. And as far as the proverb goes, what I add to that is, yesterday I read something from the Moorish Holy Quran, and it says, "The being that thou hast produced, it is thy duty to support." And you know how they say, any child you make, you're responsible for supporting it. But the children don't ask to be here, so it's very important that you do any and everything for them that you can. And you shouldn't expect your children to take care of you or be able to support you. But if and when they get to a point where they can, let's look at that just as a blessing. And understanding that the first relationship anyone has uh, is with their parents, and oftentimes when one has a dysfunctional relationship with a parent, it can cause them to have multiple dysfunctional relationships throughout their life. This
Right.
weekend, I was just so happened to watch the James Brown movie "Get Up on It" uh,
Mm-hmm.
with Chadwick Boseman as James Brown. Anyway, his mother ended up abandoning him. And when she abandoned him, he seen her when he was a little peewee, and he was like, "Mama, mama, you know me." And she
Right.
ended up disowning him. So after he had got famous and got money, she came back and wanted to see him. You know what I mean?
Right.
He gave her money to support her, and he told his buddy to make sure you, even though after she leave, make sure you take care of. So
Right.
it was even in his heart to support his mother, even though she abandoned him. And I just wanted to add that there. But peace and love, gratitude for all that you do, Simon, and belated happy birthday to you as well as Latoya Lavender. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth, and thank you for your consistency and for your continued support. Now, I want to thank everyone again who is joining us on YouTube. Just remember to comment on today's conversation and give this video a thumbs up, and also share this video with your community members. If there's something inspiring and moving that you've heard during this conversation, make sure you share it so that we share the blessing and the love that is being spread through this video. And then if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you're following me on there, because that's one of the ways that when we go live, you can catch me and you can join this beautiful community that we are building. Remember, we are here every Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And whenever we come here, we know that we are making our ancestors proud, because we dissect these beautiful words of wisdom and hopefully learn something important out of each episode. So now, my brother William, I want you to share with us, just in summary, what is it that you heard Stella and Brother Earth share that moved you, and then share with us how we can stay connected with you and how we can support the amazing work that you're doing.
Well, I just wanted to make a quick comment on what he shared. And it takes me back a few years when I was reading a lot of information and even listening on YouTube about Brother Malcolm X and his life. And there are several lessons that we can learn from that. One of them I'd like to share is, as teachers and as parents, we have to be careful what we feed into the children in their lives by our words, deeds, and actions. Because, during his transition early in his life, we see the things that his parents did in the community, and they were Garveyites, and they followed Marcus Garvey and his teachings, building community, the value of education, their spiritual being, their understanding of God and our connection, but also the foundation that was set not just with Brother Malcolm, but with his siblings as well. And there's a story in his autobiography, and I'm sure people are aware of it, that when he was in school, the teacher had asked all the students, what did they want to be when they grew up? And his story was he wanted to be an attorney so he could help others in the legal system. Because even at that time, he had the mindset of what is the best way to help the people around me in my community. Unfortunately, the teacher told Malcolm that because he was a little black boy, he would not be able to achieve that goal, and he needed to find something else to do. And that really deflated his self-esteem, and that turned his eyes from wanting to do something positive to causing a lot of chaos and confusion in his life. And as the brother was saying before, we have to be careful what we feed into our children. And even during, conflict and even during strife, in our relationships, we shouldn't feed negativity of any kind in our children's lives or our family members. It should always be positive. We should always remember the forgiveness and the love that we have for each other, and constantly build our communities. My wife and I, we are constantly talking about how can we empower young people? What can we feed into them that's positive and building them up? Even in the classroom at times, I had challenging students, but I wanted to make sure that they understood that as a teacher and a parent, a black male teacher, I recognized them as who they are, whether they were black, Hispanic, white, Haitian, Puerto Rican, Cuban, whatever, but to embrace their culture, embrace their heritage in a positive way. And I was there to support them. So we have to constantly remember that, because I'm sure we remember people that have said positive and negative things in our lives and how we reacted to each of those. So it's real important that our mouths, the words, can bring life and death, as it is stated in scripture. And even in the Muslim religion and Christian religion and other religions, it is always the concept we have to speak positive energy and blessings into the young people in our lives. And we have to make sure that we are willing to work together and put aside our personal agendas, because, in the world that we are now, we're in a global economy that more and more is influenced by AI, VR, XR. So we have to, as Black people, as people of the diaspora, to help our children grow, because they are facing a lot of challenges and still a lot of stereotypes, and just the negativity that they see sometimes in technology that represents them. But they have to have people such as yourself, Simon, and my wife, and myself, and the brother that spoke, and those that are listening, to feed positive energy and continue to be teachers, not just 7, but 70 or 700 or 7,000, because it does pay it forward.
That's true. That's true. Thank you again for your wonderful and powerful words and time today. How can everyone who is listening and watching stay connected with you and also support the work that you do?
Thank you very much. Well, you can find my wife and I, Aida. Our brands are unique. My brand is My Quest to Teach. So I'm My Quest to Teach on Twitter, My Quest to Teach on Instagram. My blog is My Quest to Teach. I also blog on a platform called africaontheblog.org. And I try to make sure each week, I post content and information related to Africans being on the metaverse, using technology, applying different learning strategies. And I want to give a big shout out to my wife, Aida. Her brand is Love Built Life. So she's Love Built Life on Twitter, Love Built Life on Instagram. So we encourage people to reach out to us, and we're available to do workshops virtually and in person, and share our story and our background, and just continue to encourage people, about their God-given talents and abilities, and use that technology. And if you have that artistic zeal within you, artists are very, very important in this world of technology. We cannot function or live without artists. And remember where all of this came from, Mother Africa. Because without Mother Africa, this world would not be where it is today. And we cannot deny our heritage and our background, that even with this level of technology we have today, it all originated in Mother Africa, and we have to remember that and share that with the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother William Jackson. William is joining us from the east coast of the U.S., where it's quite sunny, and I'm in the west coast of the U.S., where currently it's winter. It's a little cold. We've been here for almost an hour. It's time for us to wrap up, but I want to share with you all who are watching on YouTube. If you go to the description of this video, there are so many resources that you can take advantage of. There are resources about how we produce this show, the platforms that we use. There are resources of how we edit, some of the content that we edit out of this show. There are so many resources we want you to take advantage of, but I also want you to stay connected with me. So follow me on all social media platforms, especially Instagram and Twitter. My handle is at Okello Javan. Thank you again, William, for taking the time and book another episode, book another conversation for us to go deeper into. Lavender Toya, who is part of our team, suggested that we bring you back and have you talk about AI. So, feel free to do the booking as soon as you can for the AI-related conversation. But with that, we've come to the end of our time together today. I thank you, Fred, and everybody else, Kay and Lara and Rocky, of course, Lavender and Brother Earth and Stella for being here with us. And Latina Phoenix and everybody who is on YouTube. Thank you again so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you, my brother William. I appreciate you.
All right. God bless everyone.
Many blessings.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.